This video is one of a series numbered 1 to 8, which cover the basic concepts of the primary mathematics curriculum. There are two sets of supporting materials. One is the Maths Mesh Guide, a summary of research knowledge and pedagogical knowledge. The second is the Numeracy for All booklet, showing in detail how to make and use the resources mentioned here.
Okay, continuing with bottle tops and how we can use them in the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So what we've got here is simply drawn out. You've got your 3 circles with the lines, which you could have drawn on a card, or the children could draw it on paper, or you can also use small chalkboards. Now you can make chalkboards very easily from cardboard. If the cardboard's fairly dark, then chalk will actually show up just being used on there, but it does work better if you can get it black. So if black paint is available, then you can just paint just a piece of cardboard. You can use marker pen, but obviously marker pen is quite a lot more expensive, so it just shows up so the children can draw on the chalkboards. It's also got the advantage with the chalkboards is when the children have drawn it, then they can hold it up so the teacher can. One of the things about this activity is that it's an ideal way to differentiate the work. So if you've got a more able group, then you can instruct them that they must be using 3-digit or 4-digit or even 5-digit numbers, whereas children maybe of a lower ability, they could be limited to 1, 2 or 3 bottle tops to make the different digit numbers. So it's very easy to differentiate. It's also very open because the children can make numbers themselves. You can ask them, you can give them a challenge, right? Okay, I want you to make 822, for example. So you're adding 2 numbers to make 822. So there are a lot of possibilities what they could use here, and try and challenge them to perhaps make the most difficult number that they can. But some of the lower ability children, then they could just add very simply, perhaps even just start with 820 and add 2, make it very simply. We've talked a lot about bottle tops, but one thing, if bottle tops are readily available, they are a wonderful resource because they're colourful, they're bright, the children like to use them, they're very hard wearing and they're easy to keep clean. But if you don't have bottle tops, then you can make these little digit cards just as simply. They're just as nice to use, but what's important is that the children are actually having things that they can manipulate. Okay, going to look at an activity using this board now, and it shows how the children can link addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. Okay, so first of all you can choose an operation. So we'll say, right, we're going to link multiplication. So we're going to give them an example of a multiplication. So we can make it fairly simple. You can use single digits. So we're going to do 9 times 2, and then they use the bottle tops to build up the answer. So 9 times 2, and you can use 2 bottle tops to make a 2-digit number. So 9 times 2 is 18. And what we can do is to show the link between multiplication and division. So if 9 times 2 makes 18, then also 2 times 9 makes 18, or 18 divided by 2 will give me 9, and 18 divided by 9 will give me 2. So just from building this up on the card here, they can then either have another card, or they can write on the chalkboards, or they can write in their notebooks or on paper. And what you can do is you can build up your number stories here. So we have 9 times 2 will make 18. Okay, we can start with 18 and divide by 2 and leave you with 9. Okay, we can do 2 times 9, making 18. We have enough numbers. Okay, and then the final one then obviously will be taking 18. We've done 18 divided by 2 equals 9, so 18 divided by 9 makes 2. Okay, one slight problem with this is obviously you need to have a lot of bottle top numbers to make them. Alright, so what you can actually do is you can just use the one set of bottle tops and just reuse them. So you can ask the children, okay, we've made 9 times 2 and we've made 18 here. Now use the same bottle tops and rearrange them to make another multiplication. So instead of 9 times 2, we're going to do 2 times 9, alright, and make 18. Make the division, so we start with a big number, so we're going to start with 18, divide by 2, which is 9. Now make another one, so start with 18, divide by 9 and make 2. So if you don't need to make an absolute stack of bottle tops for each group of the children. Coming back to the board then, so this is very versatile, this board, because that was with multiplication and division. You can do the same thing with subtraction and addition. You can use big numbers, you can make the numbers as big as you like. Alright, so we're going to make 510, okay, and I'm going to add 510, and I'm going to add, let's add 86. Okay, so we've now got to work out the answer. So we're going to add 6 and 0, so we're going to have 6 here. I've got 8 tens and 1 10, so I need 9, and then 5. So I've got my answer here, and then transferring that to your number stories. With the bigger numbers, you will actually need this to be a little bit bigger to have room for it, but making up the number stories, so I can take 510 plus 86 is going to make my 596, or I can do it the other way. 86 plus this will make this, so this plus this equals this, yeah? And then turning it around, so we're going to have this subtract, so if I do 596 subtract 86, that will equal this, or likewise this subtract this will equal this. Yeah, so you can build it up with bottle tops. And it's just a nice manipulative way for the children to work, and then they can, as I say, they can write them on the chalkboards. Okay, continuing with bottle tops. You can use bottle tops and write the operations on them. So just clearly mark, so here for instance the division sign, and it's worth putting a little mark at the bottom to show where the bottom is, because otherwise it's very easy to confuse an addition sign with a multiplication sign with it being drawn on a circle. So if you put a little mark at the bottom, and then the children won't get confused because they'll also always have the bottle top the right way out. Okay, so simple calculations can be made with using our jar bottle tops again. So say we're starting with 17, and we can build up a calculation. So 17 plus, let's do easy, plus 2. Okay, and then they'll use the equal sign. Work out 17 plus 2 is 19. Okay, so that's a very simple level. The other way that you can do it is that you can not put any symbols in and give them the 3 numbers and say, well, what do we have to do to make 19? So the children then have to put in the symbols. So you give them the numbers and then they will put in the symbols. You can use it with missing numbers. So we'll say 17, but we won't give them that, equals 19. So they've now got to work out, well, what is the missing number here? What goes in here? Okay, you can also maybe do more than one number, so 16, okay, and I'm going to add something, and then I'm going to subtract something, and I'm going to make, let's make 12. So they've now got to work out what are the 2 missing here numbers here. Yeah, so what can go in here and what can go in here. So I'm going to add. So they've got quite an open question here, because if they say, right, I'm going to at 16, I'm going to add 1. Let's make it easy. So now thinking 16 plus 1 is going to make 17. And then I'm going to subtract something to get to 12. So if I'm on 17, what do I now subtract to get to 12? So you're really making them think here, yeah? And obviously there's a choice of answers. There's not just one correct answer here, because it may be that I choose to add 2. So 16 plus 2 is going to give me 18. I've now got to get from 18 down to 12. So what am I going to subtract from 18 to get to 12? Well, I'm going to need 6. So there's lots of possibilities here. So you're really making the children think. Using multiplication and division. So I've got to think a little bit more carefully here to make sure that you give them numbers that are divisible. So you can start with 12 and say, I want to divide and I want to get to 6. So again, filling in the missing numbers here. Okay. 12 divided by 2 is going to give me 6. You can also show them the link between division and multiplication here. So if we can turn it around, you can show them that 6, so using the same numbers, 6 multiplied by 2, oh, made that mistake, that's why this little mark is important, 6 times 2 is 12. So you could use the link between multiplication and division, or even the link between addition and subtraction. So to give you an example of that, if we say 16, and we're going to add 4 equals 20. Now, can we use these numbers to write a subtraction sentence? So we're going to start with the 20, okay, and instead of addition, I'm going to use subtraction. So 20, and I've got to use these two numbers, so I could do 20 subtract 16 makes 4, or we could also do 20 subtract 4 makes 16. Okay, bottle tops sometimes are seen as a resource that you can only use with very young children, but actually you can use them to really challenge. So if you have a set of bottle tops just with numbers written on them, then you can make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digit numbers, no problem at all, just by building them up. So for instance, we've got 5,423. You can also use your operations, so you can then start, say, right, we're going to build up a calculation, right, and we're going to add, or let's say we add, let's just make it simple, we're going to add 8 here. So it's actually not quite as simple as you think, because you've added in your 3 units and your 8 units, so you will be going into carrying over into the 10, but you can ask the children then to work out the answer. All right, so you put your equal sign in and then they're going to work out the answer. All right, you could use the same with, say, right, okay, I'm going to make it an even number. All right, I'm going to want to divide. All right, I'll divide by, make it simple, just sort of find half of it, so divide by 2, and again they're going to put it out bottle tops to make the calculation. You could do multiplication, you could maybe do multiplying by 10, so we're going to multiply by 10, okay, with the equal sign, and then build up the answer here. Okay. More detail about the resources in this video and others can be found in this booklet, Numeracy for All, Resources for Teaching Mathematics, a guide for teachers and trainers on how to make and use low-cost or no-cost teaching and learning aids to encourage active and playful learning for maths in the classroom. Okay, let's go and teach some maths.
These videos are from a partnership between VSO International and the MESH Initiative. Both organisations have a commitment to share knowledge freely around the world for the benefit of teachers and learners.